splitting time though with the senior, so they're gonna split
Thank you.
time and see where to go.
Okay, ready? Calling to order the September 16th, 2025 meeting of the Long Lake City Council at 6:30 PM. All council members are present this evening with the exceptions of Councilmember Feldman is absent with prior notice.
He's right here.
I'm sorry, thank you, Councilmember Newcomer. Wow, there's a little slip. Councilmember Newcomer is absent, excuse me. Okay, item 2 is the Pledge of Allegiance. Please join me.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, moving on to item 3, Mayor's Comments, Long Lake News, meeting review and updates. Just a few things to pass on this evening. We've not had any major city events in the last couple of weeks since our last council meeting, so nothing to report there. We did just complete busy a couple hours here for the council and our EDA. We had a city council work session where we discussed city right-of-way and kind of got some guidance from our city attorney on that. And then we also discussed the proposed preliminary 2026 levy and budget. We'll be discussing that more during our council meeting this evening. And then finally, we had an EDA meeting, our Economic Development Authority meeting, where we learned about some tax increment financing district that's kind of coming to a close. And we'll be talking about that as well here shortly. And then we reappointed resident Tim Hultman to continue to serve, or reappointed him on our Economic Development Authority through the end of 2026. So we appreciate Tim's service. Otherwise, last week I went to an annual meeting with Hennepin County Commissioner Heather Edelson, where she, with all the mayors that she represents in her county district, got some updates from the countywide level. Heard from our new county administrator, who's an internal person who's kind of came up through the ranks, and heard from some of her staff as well. The county's working on their 2026 budget just like we are, and it sounds like that. I believe even today the county board was going to approve their preliminary budget, and we'll soon find out what those numbers are and how those impact our city. It's also interesting to learn that the Hennepin County Board voted to take over the Hennepin County, or HCMC, which I think is now known as Hennepin Health, here a few weeks ago, or maybe a month or two ago, and didn't know much about that. So now we as sort of, the county residents own that, and that there's be some financial liability there, but it needed to be done from most accounts. And something like that medical center provides a lot of service to not only county residents, but residents across the state and even the greater, some neighboring states as well. And there's a lot of financial sort of red tape that goes into that. So just kind of a warning, I would say, that we heard from, that financially there might be some more to come to that when it comes to the county being responsible for running Hennepin Healthcare. But it is, by far the very well regarded level 1 trauma center that serves really the entire state. With that, though, I also went to the Wayzata Fire Department pancake breakfast, annual pancake breakfast on Sunday. Good event there. Great to see Long Lake firefighters out working their giant rotating cooking element that former Fire Chief Rick Perry made that cooks the pancakes and the French toast. And so great event there, perfect weather and good turnout, just like we get at our own pancake breakfast for Long Lake Fire. All right, so that's a couple updates there anyways. With that, we'll move on to item 4, which is to approve this evening's agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
All right, motion and a second. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Item 5, consent agenda. Items A through H on the consent agenda this evening, including a couple of special event permits. Any questions for staff regarding items on the consent agenda? If not, entertain a motion to approve this evening's consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda.
Second.
All right, motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Item 6, open correspondence. Open correspondence is an item on the agenda during which the public may address the city council. No formal action is taken by the city council, and comments should be limited to 5 minutes or less. Does not look like we have any audience participants for open correspondence this evening. Any emailed open correspondence?
Thank you.
All right. Move on then to item 7, regular business. Start with 7A, recognition of city administrator Scott Weskey. Are you doing part of this, or am I doing part of this, or?
Certainly share.
How about just a motion to adjourn?
City Administrator Weskey here is leaving us for greener pastures in the sense that he's leaving us to take a position with the city of Greenfield. His last day with us will be this coming Friday. He began his service in January 2014, so he's been here for 11 years, and we have managed not to scare him off all that time. So tonight we just wanted to recognize that a little bit, say thank you for your service, leave you with a couple of things to remember us by, and we're not done. And just, of course, you know, before we get to that ceremony, just a reminder for the council that we have a friendly get-together for him tomorrow at McGarry's we originally advertised it at 3 to 6, but we know you have a family obligation that came up, so you might have to leave closer to 5:30. So kind of adjusting time on 3 to 5:30.
I thought it was 6.
It was 3 to 6.
Oh, okay. I was thinking it began at, 3 to 6.
Yes, 3 to 5:30.
And then to 6.
Show up there. Where is
3 to 5:30, yes, and appetizers and non-alcoholic beverages will be on us. We
the middle
certainly
of
hope
the
you
day.
can join us in celebrating Scott's years of service and wishing him well in a less formal setting.
Thank you.
Great. Well, we really appreciated having you as our city administrator these last 11 years, Scott. You're the only city administrator I've known, and so it's going to be weird to adjust. And yeah, for most of the council, I don't know, John, were you?
Yeah, no, he's the only one I've known too.
Okay, a longest serving council member, and so this is very unique for a city, especially of our size, to have a city administrator with us this long, and so we appreciate that your longevity and your institutional history and knowledge and all that sort of thing, and carried the torch all these years and carried us through some rough times with fire department situation and some other, just the average challenges that cities have. So you've done a great job in that, and we appreciate that, and gonna miss your leadership here. And we have a plaque to give you that be able to officially present you with, and hopefully you got room for this in your new office here, but when you get moving to that here in a couple weeks. But Community Service Award presented to Scott Weskey in appreciation for dedicated service and commitment to the city of Long Lake from, again, January 2014 to September 2025. With our nice new logo on the top.
Out of the
and-
way, so.
Yeah, so I'd like to present that to you. I'll give you the bag later, but yeah, thank you very much,
Thank you
Scott,
very
for
much.
your service to our city all of these years.
And in addition to that, we want you to remember logos old and new.
Oh, boy.
So in the new logo bag that you can carry your plaque home in, you have the old logo.
Ooh. Wait to see this.
Is this the,
Just so you can remember our private jokes.
right, this one has to be the last one.
No, it's not.
That was
So,
Did you steal that off her desk a lot?
No,
that's,
I didn't know.
there's a glass
Glass
blower.
blower.
Oh,
Yes, and back when that was still the logo we were using, I had commissioned her to make a special number of them.
oh, okay.
And
that's awesome.
so I just have gotten the chance to reserve them for folks who were longtime employees or longtime service members. And then, of course, we changed our logo, so I don't know what I'm gonna do now.
Back to the drawing board.
Well, awesome. Thank you guys very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, more to come as well.
That's never good.
And there's, understanding nice vacation coming up, and that'll be a good segue to your new position, and
Yes.
that'll be nice. And yeah, we wish you the best of luck in your new position, and It'll be a little closer to home and that sort of thing, so congrats on that. Anything else you want to say? You got a prepared speech?
I got
or-
nothing. I got nothing. Maybe tomorrow.
Great. All right. Well, it's your last meeting sitting in that chair, so enjoy it while you can. All right. Move on then to item 7B, decertification of tax increment financing district number 1-6. And that is correct. What's 1-6? We decided on that one?
Correct.
Okay. Of the city of Long Lake. Amanda, you want to kick this one off?
Yes, thank you, council. Tonight, we are asking the approval of the decertification of tax increment financing district 1-6. And with us this evening, we have Jason from Ellers Inc. to talk with the council and to answer any questions that you might have as it relates to the decertification of this taxing district. So I'd like to welcome Jason to the podium.
Welcome, Jason. Thank you.
Yes, good evening, Mayor, members of the council. Again, Jason Arsvold with Ellers. We're here tonight because you have a tax increment district that has paid for all of its obligations. In this case, it was a pay-as-you-go note to a developer. And as mentioned with the EDA, when that happens, the city's required to decertify that tax increment financing district. And so the resolution before you tonight as a council is similar to the one that was passed by the Economic Development Authority earlier this evening, which would effectively decertify that tax increment district, meaning that it will no longer collect tax increment and that the tax base that's available there, as we talked about $189,000 will be available to you for budgetary purposes starting in 2026. I did check just while we were in between meetings, so that's what's being captured currently. The base tax capacity was 40,666, so that's what the base tax capacity was before development happened.
Oh, okay.
It went up to 189, which again, the goal of a TIF project is that you grow the tax base, which happened in this case. The other piece here that we did also discuss is that there's a cash balance sitting in that particular tax increment district, just over $1 million, about $1,090,000. When we get to the end of a district, we run a calculation to determine how much of that you can keep for spending tax increment dollars in other parts of the city, which we call pooling. And so we ran that calculation and determined that you can keep about $350,000 in that TIF fund that then can be used for eligible project costs basically throughout the entire city. As we discussed, infrastructure improvements are most likely scenario for expending those particular dollars that are related to recent development that has occurred in the development district. Then what will happen is the remaining $738,000 roughly will go back to the county. The county then will redistribute that to the city, county, and school proportionately based on current tax rates. So we are estimating right now that means about $276,000 will come back to the city. When those dollars come back, they're completely unrestricted dollars to do anything with that you wish. And so that's how that fund balance will be handled, and then the amount that will be available to you next year for taxing purposes. So I'll stop there. I'll be a little more brief than maybe with the EDA, but certainly happy to answer any other questions that you might have thought of in between now and then, or might have arisen just now. So, thanks.
Thank you. And yeah, we got a good recap of this at our earlier meeting for that EDA, as was mentioned. Any other questions that have come up though, or details folks are looking for? All right. If not, I'll entertain a motion on this one.
I'll make a motion to adopt resolution number 2025-33, approving the decertification of tax increment financing district number 1-6 of the city of Long Lake.
Second.
All right, motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Great, thank you for that presentation. All right, with that, we'll move on to item 7C, adoption of preliminary 2026 payable levy, and establish a truth and taxation public meeting date to discuss levy and proposed budget. City Administrator Wesky.
Thanks, Mayor. All right, so this is the time of the year we can set our preliminary levy. As you remember, we can set a levy limit, but then we can reduce it down. It's easier to reduce down than it is to increase it, and we did work on this and talk through this during the work session. So some of the factors that were in this 2026 budget was that, again, for how many years in a row, we have not received any LGA, local government aid, so that's at $0. We do believe to see some building permit revenues increase with the surrounding areas. I mean, I know that some of the housing values may have not increased, and we saw that in our tax adjusted levy or tax capacity, but we're starting to see a lot more remodels and like bathroom upgrades, et cetera. So those are bringing some revenues in for permitting. And I think there's even maybe some subdivisions that have been talked about. Also, there's our employees have a 3% COLA that has been put into this, along with some of the public works maintenance workers are still on the plans, so they'll be getting step increases throughout the year also. We budgeted a 10% premium increase for health insurance, and I do believe that's still going to be relatively close for the numbers that we're seeing. So we're actually pretty happy with the 10% increase, the way increases have been going the last couple of years. We have been I kind of did this on the fly since we changed it since the work session. The 2026 recommended levy is $1,910,402, which is a $164,700 increase from 2025, which reflects a 9.44% increase. Is that looking right to everybody?
Just off slightly from what's on our sheet, ours is 1,822,421 versus 444
440.
or 441. So just off
But
by
the-
$20.
All right, let's make sure
But the bottom number's right, isn't it?
I have to look at that for, yeah, the bottom number is right.
421.
Right,
So the other one is
now it's good.
87,980.
Total
All right, perfect. I
matches.
just want to make sure I got it right, because I was trying to do it on the fly.
Yeah.
And so, with that being said, as I mentioned about the tax capacity, it increased $120,691 from 2025. And so that shows your tax history. And as we increase our levy amount this for 2026, the 64,000, it does increase your tax rate from 33.4 to 35.8%. I think that was reflected on the scale that we were looking at in the work session. I just want to make sure everybody else agrees with that.
Yeah, that's what I show.
Okay. And so some things, or these items have been budgeted and are accounted for currently already in the 26 budget, is a $10,000 for professional services related to starting the planning process for a 2050 comp plan. There's a transfer from the general fund into the seal coating fund of $60,000. There is a $50,000 transfer in the general fund to the fire department capital fund. As Amanda mentioned before, that fund's around $100,000 negative right now from that last rescue vehicle that we purchased. So the council can bring it whole in a couple of years, or they can bring it all whole at once, depending on how you want to do your transfers from your other funds. And then removal of the emerald ash borer impacted trees, $40,000, which is $30,000 in streets, and then $10,000 in parks. If you remember, we're trying to focus on the ones that are high risk, high liabilities, and some of the ones in the parks are easier to get to, so we don't have to have as many consulting services or contractors coming in, but maybe some of the trees by the power lines or by houses that we will need to have maybe some people come in and help.
Can you go back and one more, just a second. I just want to look at this. Okay. All right.
So something that has not been budgeted for has been a transfer to the general fund from the 401 fund of maybe $50,000 to replace the roof. I know that's just something that we've talked about in the past. We do have one section that blew off, but it's repaired enough right now, but maybe worth taking a good look at the condition of the roof. I know we mentioned once upon a time looking at solar panels, so I think maybe you want to just double check support, and if this roof is, asphalt roof, tiles is what you want versus steel. I mean, there's multiple things you can look at there. And then also go through the process and of looking at all your funds and maybe delegating some of the reserves we have on hand into these special funds so that you have a good starting point for some of your CIP accounts. If you're looking at parks and trying to get new playgrounds, there is some opportunities to transfer some of those funds out and at least start the process of planning and putting them at the date of time that you would like to see them replaced. And so with that being said, you're going to have some other opportunities with the TIF being decertified now, and there's going to be some cash position changes too, so they'll be beneficial. And then some things that I did not include in the slide deck is that the police contract went up about $8,200 from 2025. The fire department budget increased about $196,000 from 2025, which is.
That is included in your estimate?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. So that transfer, so as of right now in the current budget, it's $250,000 for operations and $50,000 for capital. So that capital I did kind of mention already in this last slide. So that's $300,000, and then subtracted out what we paid last year. So that's why there's about a $96,000 difference.
Okay.
And then, so really, there's health insurance that talked about that already, talked about COLA that's in your report. And so I highlighted almost everything else that was in your packet. And what changed from a couple weeks ago, we had a different kind of conversation of just trying to keep the tax rate flat. But we did have a conversation about what it could look like if we start planning for a project of a $3 million or $6 million project, but we know that as staff and council, we're looking to trying to start moving our way towards large capital improvements and knowing that we can't not do street projects. So we're trying to find the best place and best project for the city of Long Lake, and along with the utilities and related to I&I. So that's why there was a little bit of increase in this levy from the last time it was presented, but you can always go down. And then also in your package, 2 resolutions. One of them is going to approve the preliminary levy that we discussed, and then also set a separate resolution for truth and taxation for December 2nd, which is the other opportunity for the public to speak once they receive kind of the impacts of the tax rates and their proposed taxes.
Okay, good presentation there. As you mentioned, we talked about this during our work session too in a fair amount of detail. Any other questions or comments for staff or otherwise?
Oh, we like you said, we talked about this at length during the work session, and this is a preliminary budget. As we've said, this can go down, it can't go up in the final that we vote on in December. So I'll make a motion to adopt resolution number 2025-29, establishing the preliminary property tax levy payable in 2026 for the city of Long Lake in the amount of $1,910,402, which amounts to a 9.44% levy increase. Did I get that right?
I believe so. Second. All right, motion and a second. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. And let's see, I'll make a motion to adopt resolution number 2025-30, establishing the truth and taxation public meeting date as December 2nd, 2025, to discuss the proposed levy and budget for taxes payable 2026 for the city of Lone Lake.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion also carries unanimously. All right, thanks Scott and Jeanette and Amanda, all of you for helping to put that one together, and a lot of moving pieces this year with sort of some unknown financials for next year with fire department and emerald ash trees and all those sorts of things that are going on road projects. So we'll fine tune that as we get on December 2nd. Okay, with that, we'll move on to item 7D, request to approve appointment of interim city administrator. Jeanette, are you going to walk us through this one?
Thank you, Mayor. At the council's August 19th meeting, the city council formally accepted Administrator Wesky's resignation, effective at the end of this week. And the position of city administrator is an important one. And just to read a couple of the duties aloud in summary, the position oversees and manages city operations, city finances, implements policies, and fulfills duties as assigned by the city council. With City Administrator Wesky's resignation, it is necessary for the city to retain the services of an interim city administrator to perform the duties until we make a decision on hiring or appointing a city administrator and they begin their employment. So we did discuss this with the council in a work session. I believe it was at our last meeting there on the 2nd. And staff is recommending that the council consider adopting a resolution to appoint Finance Director Amanda Nowesky to act as interim city administrator until a decision's been made regarding filling the position. We also are recommending that, given that she's going to be performing the duties of both her current position as Finance Director and interim city administrator, we're recommending that, or I'm recommending, that her base pay be temporarily increased to $8,040 a month, an amount equaling approximately 91% of the step 1 entry-level pay rate for the city administrator position during the period of the temporary appointment. And that's documented in the resolution. With some assistance, I had a little mock-up, and essentially that salary of $8,040 a month on a temporary basis for the two positions combined, it essentially amounts to kind of step -4 for the city administrator pay scale, backing it out a couple percent. So we do have, some math and documentation behind that. That wasn't just an arbitrary number. It was kind of, okay, let's back that down 2%, 2%, 2%, and see what the negative steps would look like, so we could come at something that recognizes that this is a person taking on the duties at an entry level. So at any rate, just wanted to put that in front of the council for consideration.
It's not in your motion to adopt, it doesn't say interim effective September 20th, 2025, but it doesn't say anything about the motion for the,
That is contained in the resolution. The wage rate in the resolution,
okay,
you'll see under the now therefore be it resolved.
okay,
Number 2 discusses the compensation.
okay. So I can make a motion to adopt resolution 2025-31, appointing Amanda Nowesky to the position of interim city administrator effective September 20th, 2025.
Second.
Nice, motion and a second. Any further discussion? All right, I'll call for a vote then. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. So congratulations, Amanda.
Thank you.
Look forward to having that position, and big shoes to fill with Scott's departure here. But, and then we're confident with the separation of duties and things like that. I know staff's working on that, ensuring that with 2 staff members in City Hall here versus 3, that there's correct procedures in place for that. So appreciate your work on that. All right, we'll move on to item 7. What do we got here? We're getting up to D, or I'm sorry, E is an Edward. Fire department updates, transition, et cetera. I guess the big update is we're meeting with the City of Orono officials tomorrow to go over the joint powers agreement draft. We've been working on that for the last several months. Both cities, I think, are interested in ensuring that it's kind of a Loctite contract or agreement that's going to serve for tenants over the next 20 years. So there's a lot of nuances to figure out there, and we've got a few things we need to discuss between the 2 cities, and we hope to hopefully address all those tomorrow, and then have staff work on getting that agreement ready to sign. So that's the
What
plan.
time tomorrow? Boy, you're gonna have a
Bright
busy
and
day.
early, I know. It's been a busy couple days. 7:30
That's
Central
early.
Time. Yeah, it is. So we'll have a pot of coffee, hopefully, or maybe a caribou stop or something the way. And, yeah, so looking forward to that. Otherwise, I know the fire, Chief Highland and his team and his Orinoco counterparts continue to work on some transition items as well as at the staff level and getting equipment ready. And we got, yeah, lots to do in the next couple months here, but it's continuing to advance at a good pace. Any other updates from the rest of the team? All right, and with that, we will move to 8 other business. Councilmember Feldman, thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
Councilmember Divek.
I don't have anything.
All right, I don't have anything to add.
Nothing?
See you guys later.
Oh,
No, thank
too
you.
short.
No, thank you guys for everything that you've done. It's been
Should
a
have
lot of
said,
work.
see you tomorrow.
We'll see you tomorrow too. I forgot about that. No, we went through the last 11 years. We've gone ups and downs, and lots more ups than downs. So it's been a really great place to work.
Fabulous. Thank you for your service. Yes. All right, Jeanette.
Just a couple things. I've advertised fall leaf pickup dates for Tuesday, October 28th and Tuesday, 11/4. So those are out there. I do have one hauler I'm struggling to receive confirmation with, and I will continue to pursue that one hauler until I receive that confirmation. Also, at our last work session on September 2nd, we'd talked a little bit about mentoring proposal that we'd received while we were kind of talking about the future of the city administrator position. And I'm pleased to announce I actually received a revised one that includes a lot of hours for both in-person and virtual meetings that did come in under 5,000. So it's a very reasonable number for the amount of time it entails when each meeting is 1.5 hours planned, with 6 in-person meetings and 6 virtual call meetings. And, you know, the mentor providing prep time and follow-up as well as part of that. So I was very pleased to receive that proposal, and that's a subject for a later date, but just kind of wanted to put that into everyone's minds, so.
Great, thank you for continuing to work on that. And we'll have to take those steps under consideration here in the coming months and
We'll
meetings.
take a little time and shelve that and then maybe come back to it.
Yeah, that sounds good. All right, soon to be interim administrator.
Yes, I wanted to update council. This past week, we met with the Long Lake Watershed District about kind of an update on the water quality, specifically in Long Lake. They are aware of the current water quality in Long Lake, and I will be walking with them as well as Sean from Public Works at the end of the month. We've set up an appointment to walk the area and kind of look at possible improvements to our wastewater, how wastewater is handled. They have a grant, and so they are going to be explaining to me some of their plans, and we'll look for opportunities to work with them to improve our lake quality.
Who did the grant come from? Do you know where it came from?
I don't know.
I think it's the Bowser grant.
That's what I was
Oh.
wondering.
Yeah, so it's for a feasibility study for the downtown/industrial park area, because there's a high TMDL load that goes in from this section into Long Lake, so they're trying to figure out what kind of projects they can do in the area.
A high what element?
TMDL,
TMDL.
that's all the phosphorus and stuff that's going in.
That's
The
total daily load.
daily load, yeah.
Okay.
But you know, it's as bad as I've seen it this year. It was really bad the whole summer, and it was different. It was like globs of green suspended below the surface, even when you didn't have the surfacey stuff, and it's like something's going on there that I haven't seen before. So, I mean, I think that's great that you're doing that. I've also been researching a little bit about alum treatments, because I think that should be on the table too. It's not cheap, but it would give instant relief and it can last like 10 years or more. But I don't think the Watershed District is looking at those kinds of solutions. But is that who you were meeting with, or was it the Lake Association? Or
Well, we were actually meeting with the Watershed District, but the Lake Association was present, and
okay.
they did they were very adamant that they were also noticing some changes this year that they hadn't seen in years past.
Yeah.
And they were pushing for resolution, and not 5 years out.
Yeah, well,
Sooner
because
than
I was going to say,
later.
the watershed district, it's great what they're doing, but they're
Right.
looking at solutions that are more like 10 years out.
Correct.
You know, I really want to see some
And-
sooner results, because it was barely usable.
Send that down.
Yeah, it was, you know, the whole summer it was like that. And we didn't even have the swim buoys up, right? I mean, the
Right.
beach wasn't usable most of the summer.
Right.
And that's just bad. It's not good for people who are gonna, you know,
Right.
come to use the lake and,
In addition, the water looks green.
Yeah.
well, yeah,
Not
the
just the
water's
algae.
green, and
Really?
plus there's that blue-green algae
Yeah,
too,
like
so.
in May and June, it like oscillated. It got super clear.
I
and
know,
super
yeah,
nasty,
yeah.
And then it just settled into
It cycled,
growth.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, thank you for doing that.
Absolutely, yeah.
And
I'm new to this, so I was excited to make those introductions, and I've actually been working with Rachel from the Watershed
Okay,
District, and so
if you
her
need
and I-
some help with that, you know, we used to have, who was the liaison to the,
Councilmember Newcomer was
Oh,
with
is
us
it?
as well.
Okay, so-
Mhm.
Yeah, he was there with us.
He was with there.
oh, he was, okay,
Correct.
good, good.
So yeah, it was a wonderful meeting, and I look forward to bringing more updates to council in the future. As
So is this the Minnehaha Watershed District?
yes,
Okay.
Yeah.
sorry.
And didn't they come in a long time ago and they had, you gotta get going?
Yeah, I do, but,
We
did a
can
study.
discuss this
No, no, no,
at a
it's
different
okay.
time.
It's
They
okay.
did that study and it was from coming in,
A lot of Medina and the new developments, right?
or they did one from Hobart Park, was
That's
it?
still part of the
well,
feasibility.
you know, and we need to remember too that Orono owns 2/3 of the lake shore, and
Yes,
and
they
Long
were in
Lake is
attendance
1/3,
too,
so-
so-
Oh, they were, okay.
Yes, yep, it was a
But-
few of our neighboring cities.
Medina's
So-
there
Because
also.
I would
It's
think
always a
that
big
they are
Arnold
just as
group.
unhappy with this
Yes.
current water quality issue.
Yes, it
I
was,
would imagine their lakeshore owners are just as disappointed. What I find really interesting is that phenomenon was not unique to Long Lake
Yeah.
this year.
Well, yeah, but it is worse on this.
Oh, it
because I've
absolutely
been on
is.
some other lakes and
It
it's not,
absolutely
it's
is,
bad.
but than
think
we've been
they-
experiencing by far. But what I found very interesting is that, I mean, this is actually, it'll be interesting to see if Hennepin County gets involved in some
Yeah.
way, because they were experiencing, you know, a lot more beach closures than we've seen. Cities begging them to start, you know, testing for blue-green algae versus relying on cities to make a visual observation. And so it'll be interesting to see how, you know, and if the testing program evolves for next year. You know, if at any point this becomes an environmental health concern where the county steps up and gets involved in some way, you know, just, but yeah, Long Lake had a rough year, worse than I've ever
And
heard or
just,
seen.
it's not a good look for our city. I mean, I was
No.
looking on social media just 2 days ago, somebody was, you know, putting out there, hey, what's a good local lake to fish? And I was gonna go to Long Lake, and they said, no, don't go to Long Lake, go to
Yes.
Lake Independence. And,
Yes.
you know, so, you know, the message is out there that you don't want to go to Long Lake.
great.
It's been a subject of a lot of calls all summer long,
Yeah.
all summer long, and
You know,
it's really disappointing, and it'll be exciting to see if improvements and ideas are.
I ran some numbers on how we can do an alum treatment. I'll talk to you about it.
That would be
And-
great. That would be great.
It just precipitates out the.
Yeah,
phosphorus
it's aluminum something, dioxide or something that then, reacts with the phosphorus and locks up the phosphorus so that, and then it just doesn't then promote algae growth.
So
Precipitates,
out,
yeah,
and
yeah.
so it's-
And so they throw it out, they just spread it out over the lake and it sinks down to the bottom. And then it locks up the phosphorus for, if it's done right, it could last for 10 years or more. And I have seen it work. And so I think, it's not cheap. It's probably like $100,000 to.
There
get it
was
done.
one done on this lake during my time here. I just don't remember what year. I had found it at one point.
I heard it was done in the 70s, but it was done more recent than that?
There was one more
2010?
recent than that.
But-
Marv was here.
Yeah, like-
No, but it
It
was,
was before your time.
Yeah, it was like 2010 or
Somewhere
20.
between 2003 and 2010.
How was
I
that-
had
how-
actually found it on a council.
it was, it would have been closer to 2003 then, because the research that I did didn't suggest that it was done even in recent years before I moved here in 2012, so.
I
And
have a
how
vague recollection of it.
do you
and
remember
I've
how
gone
that,
searching, but-
how that was paid for?
I do not.
Because here's the thing, they say, you know, one thing is you need to take care of a carp problem first to make it to do it right, because the carps are gonna stir up the bottom,
Right.
and then they're just gonna, you know, kind of, you know, cancel out the effect that you're putting in. And so we have gotten rid of at least some of the carp, and so, you know, I'd like to consider that as an option.
I wonder if the Waters Association would have any kind of an appetite for a fundraising campaign.
Well, that's part of my funding plan, is to have both cities contribute some, maybe the Lakeshore owners contribute some, because it benefits them, and then do a fundraiser for the rest. And I don't know how that would go, but I kind of ran some numbers I can kind of run by you, see what you think.
Birches, you know, just all those that.
Yeah.
you
Oh,
just
yeah.
like, Yeah.
Yeah, rowing club? I mean, the people, no, I mean, everybody that benefits from it, you know?
Wasn't there a Minnehaha Creek study at one point where they look at all the inlets and, or all the different sources of runoff?
Yeah, I think there
I
was.
don't know if they said, yeah, I'm just curious if that's changed now.
Well, I think there's a lot of holding ponds that haven't been, like, dug out, because I think they just kind of accumulate these TMDLs and you know, and you have to maintain that. I don't know if they have, so when they get full, then it just starts overflowing, and you just start pouring the stuff into the lake. And by the way, that's just goes downstream to Lake Minnetonka, too, so there should be interest there to take care of this problem, but if you can find out, Jeanette, on when it was done, because the only thing I read was a newspaper article that was from
I
the
will try
70s, I think, or 80s, maybe.
To hunt that up.
Yeah, I'd be curious to know. Because I have heard about some that were, sorry to keep going here, but I have heard about some that they, you know, some say, oh, no, it doesn't work. We tried it only lasts a couple of years. But if it's done right, is what I'm reading, it can last 10 years plus. And so,
I have to try to remember where I had found some documentation on that, but I'll see what I can track down. One
Great.
more item of other business, by the way, and I apologize for jumping in on that. I actually am out of town on a camping trip, hopefully not under too much rain. I will be out of the office from Thursday through Monday.
Okay,
Have fun.
great. Good for you. Hopefully the phones don't ring in much when you're gone.
Hoping not.
And then, real quick, fall cleanup day. I should have mentioned that. Jeanette did a good job sending out an email the other day, but it's this Saturday, 8 a.m. to noon, Orono Public Works Facility. Bring in e-waste, old furniture, old appliances, that kind of thing. So we appreciate Orono's partnership on that for fall cleanup day on Saturday morning. Otherwise, next meeting Tuesday, October 7th, will be our next council meeting. All right, nothing else? If not, I will adjourn the meeting by general consent. Meeting's adjourned at 7:15 PM.
15 minutes. I gotta see in the
Yeah.
400 relay?
Perfect timing.